Live to the set with Damon Benning. I'm Jessica Cootie, and now joined live here by the head coach, Matt Rhule. It's been a fun day, Coach. How do you like the group that you brought on?
I'm fired up. I mean, it's a good group of guys across a variety of positions. A lot of guys that either came to our camp or national guys that we battled hard to go recruit for. So really excited that they're going to join us.
Well, we just got big news. You guys got a really heck of a playmaker out of Florida, another one. And we actually have the video of the reaction of your staff when that news came in. We're going to show that to you now.
And with that being said, for the next 3 to 4 years, I'll be going to the University of Oklahoma.
OU, we're going to OU.
Boomer sooner.
All right.
Hold on. He got this shirt don't feel right.
Let's go.
I never seen one like this. This is original.
He went all the way there with it.
This is original.
God dang it. Let's go.
He's the worst. Oh, Rhule right there. 305. The crib, man. The crib.
Go get red.
Let's go make red.
They had Cortez pulling a fast one. He's a jokester, but in all reality, how big is that one to get Cortez?
Well, his talent you can see, but I think it's also his personality, his mindset. He's infectious. He's a guy we spend a lot of time on. And as you go through this process, obviously you're recruiting great players, but you're looking for great people and guys you want in the building. And I think Cortez, he checks all those boxes, man.
It's interesting. One of the reoccurring themes that we kept talking about with all these guys is competitiveness. You are really, it seems to be focusing on highly competitive guys. I know you always want them, but it seemed intentional.
Yeah, I think in today's world, today's day and age, today's Big Ten, I've always been a guy that loves traits, loves big, fast, strong, and we're always going to continue to search for that. I think the thing that we've done is we've put that competitive streak in there. You watch the Big Ten this year, even the teams that, playing the championship game, they won games by 2 points, 3 points. You have to have guys that, man, come down the stretch and they want to make the play. They don't want the game to be a blowout. They want a chance to go show what they can do. And so whether that's individually every day at practice or, collectively in the games, finding guys with that is the same to me as guys who can run fast.
One of the first things you guys said when you got here is that you were going to lock up the state of Nebraska and another recruiting class, that you got the top recruit in this state and the top talent in this state. How excited are you about this group of homegrown Huskers?
Well, I think it's really hit me the last couple of days. We've had some tough days in terms of, having to go from 150 down to 105, and talking to a couple kids that, maybe their future isn't on the field here, and how many of them have said, like, Coach, I'm a Husker, like, I don't care what my role is. I think that that really means something to me. I think that means something to us. I mean, and so to find guys with the talent of the guys that we've gotten, who can help us on the field, but to whom going out and representing their state means just a little bit more. I think that's important. It's what we've always wanted to do. It's what Coach Osborne told me to do when I took the job, and it makes sense. And so we're grateful that they've decided to come.
How important or cognizant are you of like footprints, right? I know there's obviously some places you have really good, strong connections with, like Texas and clearly here, but is footprint something that's at the forefront of what you want to do? We've seen the reemergence of Kansas City and St. Louis and places like that.
Yeah, I think we recognized pretty early on, Damon, that like if we want to be great, we have to do a good job in Kansas City and St. Louis. There's great football there. There's great players there. We looked at guys leaving college and going to the NFL, and how many guys are coming out of South Dakota, North Dakota State. So we've really kind of tried to isolate and look there and find guys. With us probably going to play in California every year, we've looked in California a little bit.
Yeah, more. Yeah.
And then that's historical. And then obviously Florida and Texas have always meant a lot to us. So we'll go anywhere for any player, but I think having just a consistent book of business in those areas is important.
What was it about that St. Louis, Kansas City area? You got several of those guys down there this signing class.
Well, I think the credit has to go to, I think, Rob and EJ did a good job there for 2 years, and then, bringing in, Jamar Mosey, getting Keith Williams, an elevated role. There's just a lot of people who have connections there, and there's so many players, and we're not going to get everyone, and not everyone's not a fit for us, but finding the guys that that want to just get in the car and drive 3 hours from Kansas City, or find the guys of St. Louis who are and really all of Missouri that want to come over here. And there's a lot of, you go out there's a lot of Husker connections. I go to those games, and there's a lot of people that that bleed Husker, and so it's a good fit for us.
It's interesting. I have a lot of, favorite people, obviously, some closer to home, but one of my favorite stories is Parker out of St. Louis. And he's a guy that I think kind of typifies your recruiting style, where there's the Coach Williams, Coach Barthel thing. You've got a couple former guys at practice. They're like, hey, go love on this guy. You're going to love his story. He's probably my favorite story in the recruiting class, but had missed almost a full year. You guys stayed with him. There's a lot in his recruitment that I think embodies what you're about at Nebraska.
Yeah, to your point, when you think about who he is and his character, we're a tough, hardworking program, and we need guys who have grit. We need guys who can persevere. We need guys who can not only overcome but also embrace adversity. And he's been through a lot, and yet he still gets it done in the classroom. He still gets it done in the community. He still gets it done on the football field, and previously had got it done in track. So he fits the traits we want, but he's also got the mindset that we want, and I'm anxious to get him here. I think once he gets here, we're going to have a great fit.
The collective tag teaming of it too, amongst your staff. There's a reason you like to spread out and kind of have the guys that you recruit be touched by everybody on your staff, right?
Yeah, I want people when they get here to not just know one person. In today's college football, coaching staffs are going to change. There's so much money in college football now. Coaches are going to move on, staff is going to move on. And, the worst thing is you get recruited by one person, that person leaves, and you're sitting here and you have no connections. And so whether it's Corey and his staff, whether it's Kristen and her staff, whether it's Gus and his staff, whether it's, Dr. Elza and her staff, or the coaches or the recruiting staff, we want them to have a bunch of touch points when they get here so that they're connected and the families know who they can reach out to.
To that point too, almost every recruit that I talked to, they brought up you and their relationship with you, and even Tanner Church just said you're the coolest guy he's ever met. Building those relationships, how important is that too as a head coach to actually really build those bonds with these guys that are coming into play for you? Yeah,
at the end of the day, my role is very simple. It's to sort of set the vision of what this place stands for and what it means, and. When we sometimes have people here who aren't about that, then I have to do my best to try to connect with them and help them get it, whether it's staff or player. And then eventually, if it's not right, then they move on. And so, in the recruiting process, getting to know those guys and letting them know what we want to be about, I think is really important. I think, moving forward for me with this team, I think that's the number one thing I have to do probably even a better job of, is just reminding everyone of what we stand for and who we want to be. And, sometimes you get into it, you get into the season, you start listening to everything, and it's like, this is who we are. And but I like recruiting. I like getting to know the players. I like getting to know the families. I like seeing, people at 18, 19, make a decision that can hopefully positively affect the rest of their lives. And, we believe that the guys who come here and who buy into it, their lives are going to be better.
You've done such a good job from the high school standpoint in terms of recruiting your first couple of years here, and you've been very direct about how you want to build this program. Is that, you think you're going to end up being unique? Are you finding yourself evolving because this thing is supplemented by high school guys?
Yeah. You have to remember when we first got here, there was like a one transfer rule, and so it was like, okay, well, we're going to get high school players, and then now it's unlimited transfers. And so I think, we the best programs, the best people, they adapt as things change. To me, there's still a greater mission. This is still, I know a lot of people don't believe it anymore. It's still an educational mission. It's still a developmental mission. And so we will always recruit high school players. I want to always have walk-ons. I always want to have guys who come here for the love of the game. But the rules change, things change, and so we have to adapt. But at the core, like our ethos will always be, recruiting high school players. And I still think when you look at the best teams in the country, they recruit high school players, and then they supplement them with some guys in the portal. When they have a need. Sometimes it's not best for a guy to play too early. Maybe he's not ready. He needs a limited role. So we'll do the best we can with it.
So when you have these guys that you're going to bring in and develop and this bowl prep, and I know you guys had practice yesterday, how excited are you about that and to be able to really work with some of these younger players? Well,
I think within our own roster, it's an amazing opportunity, for our guys. We're unique in that the Ty Robinsons and the Nashes, they want to play in the bowl game. Most teams now, if they're not in the CFP, their seniors all leave and start getting ready for the draft, and it's really kind of like the first game of next year. So, we're prepping all of our young players, as if it's the first game of next year, knowing that at some point those older guys will come back in. But, we can also bring some of these mid-year signees into the bowl and have them, get acclimated to, hey, here's how we do things, here's what we believe, and here's how we practice. And, they probably can't do everything, but they can do something. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a great jump start. I can't explain what not being in a bowl game for how many years has probably done to the core foundation. Like even just getting out there yesterday and practicing and lifting today, like you wouldn't be allowed to have the guys lift today if you weren't in a bowl. And so that's 4 more weeks of strength training. That's 4 more weeks of speed development. That's 4 more weeks of coaching and reps. So it's important.
It's interesting listening to you kind of go through the first time in a long time, whether it's, Big Red Wrap Up or hour shows or things like this. We're not used to scheduling things in December, right? So going through this process for the first time in a long time is refreshing, a sense of accomplishment. I'm not done yet. Like we're doing things late in December that we're not accustomed to doing.
Well, I think it's double-headed, right? Like, we don't want to be 6-6. Right. We don't want to lose 5 games, in 2 minutes at the end of the game. But we're not going to apologize for beating a ranked CFP ranked team for the first time probably in a couple of years. We're not going to apologize for beating Wisconsin for the first time in 12. We're not going to apologize for being the first team to go to a bowl. I mean, on the way to greatness, there are these like stepping stones, and we've stepped on a couple of them this year. So we'd like to do more, and that now sets our vision for next year. Like, hey, we have to get this done. We have to get that done. We have to go undefeated at home. We have to start winning on the road more. But we're not going to sit here and not say like, wow, we're playing in December for the first time. That's pretty hard. That hasn't happened. I mean, it happened to a lot of other schools, but it hasn't happened here. So I'm proud of the guys for that. At the same time, like I think getting to the end of the year and all the stuff that happens, it's been happening in other schools, like the portal, coaching changes. Obviously, we've had some things happen. Like a lot of people are kind of freaked out, and I'm sitting here calm as could be. Like, this is what's supposed to happen. Yeah. You're supposed to have good players. Other schools are supposed to come try to get your players. You're supposed to go recruit at a high level. We're gonna be just fine. And so December's been a quiet month here for a couple of years, and it won't be quiet moving forward.
Coach, closing things out, I just, again, we talked about the painters were on right before you got here, but just the innovation of your team and the murals. We were saying we wish we could have gotten a mural, but it's just a cool thing that they were able to do for this new class. How exciting is that for you to see that so many people are invested and bought in and want to do kind of push the envelope for your program?
Well, I would say that the creative departments, both for the Huskers, and then for Husker football, are at the forefront. Whether it's been chasing a three, whether it's been I sometimes sit back and I can't remember the name of it. It's going to make me miserable right now. But that follows some of the athletes and how they got here from all sports. I think it's we're in a world where everyone else wants to tell your story. Occasionally, you have to tell your own story. But I love the fact that we're on the cutting edge. I love the fact that last year our signing day stuff got a bunch of awards, and we'll get them again. I've got to meet the artists who did some of the stuff down, for today. I'm an old New York City guy. I love graffiti. I got a graffiti piece in my apartment. I got a graffiti. I love graffiti. But I just think like taking an iconic brand like Nebraska, always staying true and pure to the brand, to the look, but finding ways at every turn to be on the cutting edge of everything, whether that's strength and conditioning or whether that's creative. I think that's who we are and what we do. And it can sometimes for me be a little uncomfortable. Like CJ or Jay Litt or Warren will come to me and say, "Can we do this?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, if you guys say so." But it's cool, and kudos to those artists. I mean, they're amazing what they did.
Coach, I'll get you out in this last one from me. You look at the size of the class and the geography, and you talk about the ethos of what you want to do. Pretty happy with the building blocks, obviously, going out for this class in 2024.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think you got in the first year. Some guys had left. There hadn't been a lot of high school recruiting in the previous couple of years. We signed a big class and with some triage there, right? Last year we had a chance to really invest in that class. I got to know last year's class. And we love all the kids. But this year, now some of these kids you recruited for 2 years. Next year, there's some kids that we've recruited for 3 years. And so that you really, it's really the formation of a relationship less than it is of, hey, come to Nebraska. And so I think we're settling into like, hey, how does it work here at Nebraska in terms of recruiting? The landscape will continue to change, but the places that we're going and the sort of the breadth of what we're going to do is starting to settle in.
Coach, how about over 40,000 people watching the signing day show?
That's amazing.
It's Husker Nation for you, right?
Remember what I said to you at the Wisconsin game? I looked at her right before the game. I said, to be sitting here at 5-5, playing at home, it's cold, a little bit rainy, and to see the stadium that full, I can't tell fans what that does in recruiting. To be able to bring guys to game days and have them stand there and see what's possible here, and so, like I said, we stepped on some stepping stones this year that had to happen. There's more stepping stones ahead, and so thank you to those 40,000 people.
You're well liked, because before you sat down we were about 28, so another 12 got you.
Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys.
All right, let's